Good morning, UConn Nation, and welcome to Paint with a Penguin with Mystic Aquarium as a part of this exciting UConn Together weekend. We are so glad that you are here. My name is Erica Glabaki, and I am the Associate Director of Alumni Relations for the College of Agriculture, Health, and Natural Resources. And I have the great pleasure of introducing two wonderful CAHNR alumni who are doing amazing work with the African penguins at the aquarium, Laurie, Macha, and Josh Davis. And if you have any questions throughout the program, please feel free to put them in the chat or the Q&A. And without further ado, take it away, Josh and Laurie.
Good morning, everyone. We're so happy to be joining you this beautiful Sunday morning. I'm Laurie Macha, and this is Josh Davis. We're so excited to be sharing with all of you some of the things that really brighten up our days each and every day. First of all, both Josh and I are alumni of the University of Connecticut and the Animal Science Department. I received my degree in 1987, and Josh?
In 2010.
Do the math. So my interest was initially in horses and livestock and working at the barns with the animals and studying animal behavior. During my master's program, I had the opportunity to look at horse behavior and look at how horses learned, and that really piqued my interest. So in 1988, I did an internship here at Mystic Aquarium, and I got my very first job in 1990 and just celebrated my 31st anniversary of being here at Mystic Aquarium, and I would not trade it for anything in the world. Mystic Aquarium is the most wonderful place to work. They walk the walk, talk the talk, and we're all about conservation, education, and research. So what got me involved a long time ago with UConn and getting me back to the University of Connecticut was coming to the alumni, to the career nights. Every year, I started coming to the career nights and talking about Mystic Aquarium and letting people know what can you do with your future, especially with an animal science degree. And that's how we got Josh.
I grew up in Norwich, Connecticut, visiting the aquarium as a child. So I pursued an animal science degree at UConn. And as Laurie said, I was the kid who would hit up the Mystic Aquarium table at career night every year. And I'm happy to say that from there, I applied for an internship just like Laurie. And I was able to be the first all penguin intern, which allowed us to really decide how we could prioritize penguin training and sort of create a new penguin focused team. And now Laurie and I share those UConn career night moments going back and helping people on the other side of the table, just like we once were. So we are super happy to be able to do events like career night and alumni events just like this.
So many years ago, once we first started, the penguins came here. We had about 14 African penguins, and they're a pretty aggressive species. Can be difficult to work with. They're very territorial. And me being the newest staff member on the team, I was kind of on the bottom of the totem pole. So when I'd get to work, penguins was not the favorite place to work because they bit really hard. So every day I came in and I found out I was in the penguin routine again. So I tried to figure out a way years ago, how do we change the behavior so that we have a very good camaraderie and a trusting relationship? So I took some time to be able to study the bird behavior and noticed how these birds will bond for life and their relationship with one another, and started working our program towards that trust bond relationship. And today we have a very successful training program. We have 32 African penguins, all who are trained and do all types of programs that we have.
And those programs are really an extension of our husbandry program that Laurie began many years ago. So we train the penguins to participate in their own healthcare, which is how we can take the best care of them, how we can learn more about them, and how we can keep the detailed records of information that we send to scientists and researchers. So we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could take those behaviors and show them to our guests and allow them to learn and see what a penguin feels like and looks like up close by practicing those behaviors that we're going to ask of our penguins in a regular health exam. And so, as Laurie mentioned, African penguins are very aggressive, but through that training program, you can see we've trained the penguins to allow us to be able to hold them for programs just like this. And we're also able to do things like investigate and inspect their wings to make sure that their wings look healthy. And Blue does an amazing, we'll see if he'll show us today, open mouth behavior, where the penguins allow us to gently look inside of their mouths. And as you can imagine, this allows our veterinarians to do a comprehensive exam. And as I said, it allows our guests to see and learn about penguins up close, which inspires them and allows them to form that personal connection. And that ties back to our mission that Laurie mentioned, which encompasses research, education, and conservation. And so today we're really excited to show you sort of a modified version of our virtual Paint with a Penguin program, where participants can zoom in and learn all about African penguins in their training. And we create a penguin foot painting, which is an amazing enrichment behavior. And today, I believe we're going to be sending this painting back to Erica, and it's going to go to an attendee that is randomly selected. So this is a great way to have a keepsake. But again, it's a program that we offer here at Mystic Aquarium amongst several other programs that can all be viewed on our website, mysticaquarium.org.
Now, the behavior that we're going to showcase during this program is a foot layout behavior. Part of our husbandry program is making sure that our birds' feet are nice and healthy. They stand all day on the feet, and like many other birds, are prone to some conditions that will cause some sores or injury to the bottom of their feet. So every month, our team goes in there, pulls out their feet. We can demonstrate that a little bit. And the veterinarians will come and look at the feet, make sure that they're nice and healthy. And through this behavior, we've been able to teach the birds to allow us to put paint on their feet. And hence, now we have a beautiful painting, which you're about to see us do.
And that foot layout behavior is a trained behavior. You can see Blue is very well versed in it because, like Laurie said, we do this at least once a month to inspect their feet. But this is a behavior that we're practicing every day as trainers are building their relationships. We practice it in programs. And so guests participating and supporting programs like these, again, go back to supporting that healthcare. And you can see Blue allows us to look at those feet, and applying that paint today is going to be a great way to mimic if we ever did have to apply things like triple antibiotic ointment or even just clean their feet. But Laurie, do you want to talk a little bit more about the enrichment aspect too?
Oh, so the enrichment portion of the animals' day-to-day behaviors surrounds different activities. It includes a lot of variability. So everything that we do with the animals, from feeding the animals their fish, we feed them a variety of fish, we feed them at variable times a day, and also various different activities. So the greatest activity that we have here today is our penguins really seem to enjoy going to different areas and getting a chance to look at things. They have very, very good vision, and they like to see things. We take them into the main building to see the fish tanks. They enjoy following the fish around. So it seems enriching to them. And every time that we do this, it becomes more and more positive. Now we'll pull out our kennel that will take the animals to a different place, and they rush right out and want to run into the kennel so that they can go on a little field trip. So today we're in our education center, and you can probably see that Blue is looking around quite a bit. So he's taking in his environment, and this provides a lot of enrichment. It's variability, and it helps the animals to thrive each and every day. And it's an important part of our day to provide great enrichment opportunities for all the animals.
Awesome. So do you want to get started with that painting process?
Let's get started.
All right. I'm going to give Laurie a Blue to Laurie
All
while I
right.
get those paints ready. All right. We have selected 3 very special colors today. We pre-approved these with Erica, but today we're going to be creating a UConn themed painting using blue as our main color, and then we have a little bit of red and silver as our accent colors. So this truly is going to be a keepsake of this UConn alumni event.
Oh, for sure. Especially when Josh and I are around.
Yes.
Right, Blue? Good boy.
And that lends to another interesting answer too. So here at Mystic Aquarium, each of our penguins has a 2-color name, and each color that we use in our naming system is assigned to a number. Blue is assigned to the number 4, And so Blue Blue's name, Blue Blue, actually means that he is the 44th penguin ever to join us here at Mystic Aquarium as part of our breeding program. So he did hatch right here at Mystic Aquarium.
Ready? Here we go.
And the enrichment aspect of this behavior is the penguins can go in whichever direction they want. So you can see Laurie and I are just letting Blue Blue check it out. He can walk back on that canvas. He can scratch if he'd like. And then once he steps off, we'll pick him back up and restart. But this part of the program is where he kind of gets to decide where he wants to go. And that's what makes each painting unique as far as the direction that those footprints are going in. Ooh, so the paint that we're using in today's program is a washable, water-based, non-toxic paint. And it's been approved by our veterinarians so that it's safe for our animals to use. Now, we use this paint with our penguins, which, as you can see, we do apply to their feet. But other animals here at Mystic are trained to paint as well. Our beluga whales and some of our harbor seals are trained to hold a special paintbrush in their mouths. And so they do programs like this as well. So this enrichment behavior of painting is something that sort of goes across all departments. Our California sea lions have paint programs, and it's really a great way for the animals to express themselves and, again, inspire people to get involved.
I think one other thing to really point out here is that you'll notice that I'm holding Blue Blue for Josh to be able to put the paint on. And that's for a reason, because Josh and Blue Blue have a very special relationship. So by me putting him down, he walks straight to Josh because he wants to get to him. So that's another thing that we do with our training is we look at things and we can figure out how we can train the birds just looking at behavior and really focusing on our relationships.
Now, the relationships Laurie's talking about are built through a variety of ways. And so, you know, programs like this are great ways to strengthen those relationships. But you can imagine if Blue Blue and I and Laurie didn't have that relationship to start, we wouldn't be able to do this right away. So what we do is we spend time on the habitat doing something called socializing. And so that's where we're working with the penguin colony to get them used to seeing us and hearing our voices and being in close proximity to them. And then what we do is we start to reach out and maybe mimic that preening behavior that penguins practice with one another. We also will bring out different items we can use as enrichment as well. Our red's a little bit runny here. And then we can start by doing things like taking them away from the habitat and working with them one-on-one. And those are great ways to build those relationships, strengthen them. And then we have those relationships to use as a reward later on for that training program. All right, so we're switching to our red and our silver here. You also might notice Laurie cringing a little bit. I'm putting myself in a very precarious situation right now.
Here we go. We ready?
Oh, look at that. So we'll do a couple more passes with the red and the silver, but we're going to kind of stand this up a little bit so you can see how it's coming out from home so far. So you can see that we've got some great footprints there. And, you know, the other aspect of these paintings is they help us to raise awareness. A lot of people don't realize there are African penguins because they're a warm weather species, which isn't necessarily represented very well in the media. So a lot of people are surprised to learn about that. And then these paintings allow us to sort of start that conversation about training and why it's important. Maybe we can take a break and talk about why it is so important to work with African penguins.
Sure, let's do that. You want to let him just?
Yeah, we can just let him kind of walk here and kind of have his own time.
So African penguins are critically endangered, and it's really important for the work that we do to have our animals serve as ambassadors for their wild counterparts. Every year, we have gone down to South Africa to help with a project that's called chick bolstering. And chick bolstering really was found as a good source of reintroduction of penguins, and that it was a successful means of increasing the numbers in the South Africa. So years ago, there was an oil spill that was called the treasure oil spill. And during that time, there was over 17,000 African penguins that were oiled, and it happened around Robben Island during the middle of breeding season. So there was a lot of animals that were at risk. So during that time, professionals got called in. There was a couple of us from here, from Mystic, that went down. And during that time, there were so many birds, they had to perform triage in order to figure out who can we save through this spill, the spill and having all the birds oiled. So they chose about 100 juvenile penguins that were still fluffy. They were still reliant on their maternal and paternal care for survival. So they brought those back to the center, then selected all adults. These 100 juveniles were then tagged and monitored for about 13 years. And they found that these 100 chicks that had never been oiled at all, when they were released, bred better and survived more than any bird that has never even went to a center. So they found that this was a worthwhile conservation effort with the African penguin. So there are certain times during the year, usually around October, November, the penguins can have a second breeding time where their second clutch of eggs might not be successful. They tend to go into their molt, they'll stop feeding their chicks. So every year, Mystic Aquarium sends at least one person down to South Africa, and there can be anywhere from 100 to over thousands of chicks that are in need of help. And doing this bolstering like we did during the treasure spill, we know is a worthwhile conservation effort. So working with the African penguins and talking about what has happened to them. And the biggest thing that affects their survival in the wild is oil spills, infringement upon their territory by humans, some predation, and starvation. So they're not always finding the fish that they need to survive or to feed their chicks. Josh, what's the current population status?
So unfortunately, they're estimated to be less than 30,000 African penguins left. And to put that in perspective, in the mid-1920s, it was estimated that there were about 2 million. So we've lost an astonishing number of African penguins in about the last century. And so, back when I was an intern and I was offered my position here in 2010, I was so excited to work with African penguins. And then 1 month after I started, they were put onto the endangered species list. So this species here at Mystic is really close to our hearts. As Laurie said, we've both been able to go to South Africa and work with rehabbers and researchers on the ground there. And we're always looking for ways that we can develop research programs here at Mystic with our penguins that will help those penguins in South Africa. But those populations are declining. There is hope, though. Facilities like Mystic and other AZA accredited zoos and aquariums are working together to formulate these programs. So because we're accredited by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, we can participate in what's called the SAFE program, which stands for Saving Animals from Extinction. And the African penguin was one of the 9 pilot species selected. And so we've participated in studies looking at caloric intake of penguins. We've supported initiatives to put artificial nesting sites back in South Africa so penguins can have better success with breeding. And we're currently looking at ways to look at penguin poop. I don't know if you can see at home, but Blue did decide to take a little bathroom break. But we're working on ways that we can use a penguin guano sample to look at penguin health in a non-invasive way. So we don't have to pick up a penguin. We don't have to get close to them. We just have to wait for them to go to the bathroom and walk away. And that's one of the really important research projects that we're working on right now.
So back to the status and the population size. In 2000, that's when the treasure oil spill happened. And I think it was 13 years later, we went back to Robben Island. So there was about 100,000 penguins in 2000 for the treasure spill. And now you look back to today where there's less than 30,000. So this is a species that really, really needs help. And it's really important. The job that we do can make a difference. And you can make a difference at home by just looking at things that you can do for conservation. We think we're ready to
I think we can
go
do
back
our
and do
final
a few
passes.
more.
Yep.
All right,
Once you
blue.
pick them up, I'm going to scoot the paintings away from that guano sample.
All right.
We're
I
not
think
collecting for research today.
No, we're not.
And we did just get a little spot on one canvas, so we're just going to wipe that off.
Yeah.
I think it does. I think the poop on the canvas does make it a little bit more special. All right, we're going to see if we can get some really nice red footprints on there. So for those who might be wondering at home, Blue is, he hatched in 2009. So let's see if I can do some math here. He is 12 years old.
Oh,
Those
that
are
was beautiful. Oh, blue.
I think maybe we do one more pass of silver, Laurie.
Okay, one more pass.
The red is showing up really nice. We don't want it to outshine that blue though, since that is our main color. All right, so final pass here for those watching at home.
I think I might go this direction.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna add some creativity in it. Here we go. And go to Josh.
Whoops.
Whoops.
Awesome. Good job, buddy.
All right, so let's pick these up a little bit and show everyone what we've created. Up a little higher, down lower. There we go. Can you see? Can we see that?
You gonna inspect it?
You're gonna inspect it. Look at that. What a good boy. All right.
I would love to put these on my wall, that's for sure.
They look wonderful. All right, well, we're gonna set them on the side now to dry here. Let's see.
And we have some time to take any questions that you might still have at home, submit those through the chat and we're happy to answer them. But we also, want to end our portion by saying thank you to everyone who is tuning in. As we mentioned, this is an endangered species. And one of the best things that anyone can do to help the African penguin is to take the time to learn about them. So tuning in for events like this, visiting institutions that take care of African penguins, or even doing your own research at home on what you can do. Laurie mentioned some of those threats that they're facing in the ocean. So it can be as simple as reducing our use of single-use plastics, being more energy conservation minded, and then also supporting sustainable seafood practices. So making sure we're not eating seafood that they're taking too many out of the ocean of, or fishing in ways that are harmful to the environment. Yes? Yeah. Ooh, do you want to start?
I'll start. So, you kind of go through, first of all, the question was how did our experience at UConn help us to do what we do today? So you're going through your classes and you're like, will I ever use this again? I certainly do. So besides just all the behavioral classes that I took and understanding body languages of different animals, how it can affect animals, all the animal behavior and psychology classes are very valuable in us learning about the animals, working with the animals, but also working with each other. So, but one of the things that I never thought I'd ever use again, I took a class that was called Feeds and Feeding. And, I was okay with it. It was, a class that you had to take. But one of my big parts of my job now is buying all the food fish for all of the animals here at the aquarium. So I use that skill and balancing the animals' diets every single day. Never thought I would be doing that again. And one of the biggest classes that I took that I feel that I call upon every single day is our poultry class. That really, really helped us. Josh and I had the same professor. We were able to have Dr. Derry come to Mystic, and he helped us with some of our lighting, helped us with increasing breeding for the African penguins and some of the way our exhibit was set up. So those are the things that I look back upon and say, wow, I didn't think I was going to be pulling those out every day, but I certainly do use all of my I have still my original textbooks and my notes in my office.
And same thing to what Laurie said, that poultry science class, not only lighting, but just studying and learning about egg development and chick development, because we do hatch and breed African penguins here to be part of what's called the species survival plan, is huge. And for me, UConn was where I got some of the first practical hands-on animal experience. Aside from dogs and cats at home, I didn't have experience working around birds like chickens, like I did in that poultry science class. And I was afraid of horses. So I forced myself to take horse science to get over that fear. And learning how to work around a large animal in a safe way is something that really carries over to here at Mystic Aquarium. We have a plethora of terrestrial pinnipeds. And so those, again, are large animals that we have to work around in a safe way. And a lot of those horse science skills sort of carried over into that as well. So the median age is 19 years in zoos and aquariums. And so we see them living into their late 30s, early 40s on a pretty regular basis. In South Africa, it's much less than that. We see them typically living to around 12 to 15, and the median age is around 11. So we've been just about able to double their lifespans in zoos and aquariums for three main reasons. Laurie is always purchasing that sustainably caught restaurant quality seafood for them, so they have an excellent diet. We have a world-class veterinary team here at Mystic Aquarium that is on staff, on site, and available to respond within minutes if we ever need them. And lastly, we keep our sharks on the other side of campus, so there are no predators here for them at Mystic. Ooh. Blue got his name. I don't know if you can see, he's wearing a bracelet, and those bracelets allow us to quickly identify the penguins. In each penguin's two-color name, those colors represent numbers. Blue stands for the number 4. So the name Blue means that Blue is the 44th African penguin ever to come here. And he hatched here as part of our breeding program, as did most of our current penguins.
I have a question for Josh. How old is our oldest penguin?
Our oldest penguin turned 34 years old in April. He's actually older than me. And his name is Red Green. His mate, Red Blue, is set to turn 34 this coming fall. And one of the amazing things I don't think we've mentioned yet is that African penguins are monogamous, meaning that they mate for life and they return to the same mates and often territories year after year. So Red Green and Red Blue have been a mated pair for over 30 years, which is amazing.
Oh, I can start and then you can join in.
Absolutely.
So besides just some of the natural things like number of feedings per day, the time of day they get fed, we have a whole plethora of toys that the animals can play with. It'll range from something that could be either be light oriented. They like a lot of movement. So we have ropes. They really, really enjoy tugging on things. So we have some toys that we make out of car wash straps. We also will put I want to say Klingons, they're clings to the windows, and the animals like to go after them. Reflections into the pool, balls, bowling pins. We also do enrichment swims. So the staff will put on a wetsuit and they'll get in the water with the animals. Some of them go up on the beach because they look like a seal kind of at times. But some of them will actually jump onto the trainers and sit on them while they're floating in the water, and taking advantage of that opportunity. What else?
Yeah, enrichment, as Laurie's describing, is a huge part of animal welfare. So in our planning process, we're always planning, how can we switch up their day? What can we do? So we rotate which penguins are doing which programs so that they always get a turn. We also are constantly looking for ways that we can change up the habitat. And one of the great ways people can get involved in our enrichment program from home is actually on Amazon. Mystic Aquarium has an enrichment wish list. A lot of the objects that are safe for penguins to play with in the water are things like bath toys or even toys that have been maybe designed for dogs or cats. So those are on our Amazon wish list. You can look up Mystic Aquarium, and that would be a great way to support our enrichment program by choosing which items. And then we also have a webcam on our website that watches the penguin habitat. So you can check out what's going on for enrichment any time of day by tuning in on there too. Yes.
Yep.
What concepts of breeding have you learned with Mystic penguins that have bolstered the breeding in South Africa?
Ooh. So the question is, what concepts of breeding have we learned at Mystic Aquarium that have helped to bolster the population in South Africa? Are you okay if I start that? And
You
maybe-
can start that. Yeah, I have
Okay.
a good one.
Yeah.
Unless you steal it.
Okay, I'll try not to steal it.
Don't steal it.
So one of the things I mentioned earlier is supplying artificial nests to South Africa. So we know what conditions, we know which conditions, I didn't think you were going to go with that. We know which conditions penguins need in order to have a successful breeding season. And so zoos and aquariums work together to test out these artificial nests to make sure that they were going to protect those nests from predators and not overheat in the sun. And we were able to kind of approve a design that got put in South Africa. And that really helped to bolster that breeding. Do you want to talk about like diet and how we know like what penguins need?
Sure. I could
For
talk about
chip
that. You
bolstering?
stole my
I'm
you stole my
sorry,
thunder. We got to wrap it up.
Oh,
here.
okay.
We're getting we're having too much fun here. So we do know we've been able to understand how much penguin needs to eat to be able to feed their chicks. So we know that a bird that will eat about 8 to 10 fish a day can go up to eating 40 fish a day or more. So when we're finding that the fish aren't around in South Africa, we know that it probably is going to be a poor breeding year for that year because the animals are not getting enough fish to be able to sustain themselves, let alone their chicks on the nest. And that's when we come in, because when they are in that situation, then we come down, we help bolster the chicks, raise them up, and then we can release them. And that's probably the best part of our jobs is that full circle. We rehab a bird and then we get to see it get released back to the ocean. And it really makes our day, and it gives us the greatest feeling that we've helped with the conservation of African penguins.
Okay, so we'll turn it back on over to Erica. But again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Laurie and I were here at UConn. So if you ever have any questions, you can get in touch with us at the UConn Alumni Association. We're always happy to help and talk about what we're doing here. So again, we want to thank you all for tuning in, and we can't wait to send this wonderful painting in to be given to a random participant.
A big thank you to you, Laurie and Josh, and of course, Mystic Aquarium for all you do and sharing the stories of these amazing animals with us. And of course, introducing us to our new friend, Blue Blue. And like Josh just said, a quick reminder that one lucky attendee will be selected at random to take home this one-of-a-kind painting. So I really hope you enjoyed today's program, and please don't forget to check out our plant-based cooking demo that starts at 12 o'clock, or you can learn how to do homebrew with the session starting at 1 o'clock. And of course, with the UConn Together platform, there's all this great on-demand content, so don't forget to check that out as well. So we are so glad that you joined us for UConn Together and Paint with a Penguin with Mystic Aquarium, and I hope everyone has a wonderful and safe summer, and hopefully we'll see you on campus soon. Have a great day.